Yeah.
You want to like them, but you can't.
Are you listening?
What?
Are you listening?
Did you bring me on this show to insult me?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all don't want it with us, man. We straight gangsters over here.
Straight
man.
gangsters. All right, America, that is right. We are the Scout Team, and we are back with Scout Team Sports in the morning. And I am so excited because today is Thursday, August 30th, and it is the day when UCF is back on the field defending their national championship. And that's right, I have another host here with me. I am a host of this show, and across the pond from me is
America.
Yeah, that's right. It's your boy, Chris America, coming to you live on this beautiful Thursday, the start of the football season. It's the best Thursday we've had so far in 2018. Why? Because it's the first Thursday with football again, and I'm excited, Kyle. I'm ready to see the defending national champions, UCF, tonight at our watch party. I'm ready to see all of our fans in the Central Florida area coming out. I'm excited. I am pumped.
I am too, but I don't know who this Kyle is you're talking about because
I did it
You are
again.
the most egotistical, self-deluded person I have ever met.
That's right. I am Loudbeard coming at you each and every morning with Chris America. But yes, sir, I am excited. It is college football season. And, you know, the fact that UCF is starting us off on Thursday night is even better for me. Now, I know our national audience, they're probably sick and tired of hearing about this UCF national championship deal. I know this was the most polarizing topic throughout the offseason. It was going on for months on months on months of just debate and argument. Nobody wanted to agree that they were the national champions, especially Alabama fans. They were the worst. And you finally get to the point where you say, well, let's just see what they can do on the field. And tonight, we can see what they can do on the field. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. I love it.
Yeah, even if you want to ignore facts and the NCAA record books and you still want to say they're not national champions, that's fine. But what Danny White did, the AD at UCF, was brilliant because UCF now became the most talked about team over January through today. No doubt about it. That little school from the American Conference, which isn't little, it's the second biggest school in the nation, was talked about more than the college football invitational champion, Alabama. So it was a brilliant job by him. You know, like, nobody's talked about UCF in the past. Like, you could take all the years combined. I think UCF is, what, a 50-year-old school now? You can take all those years and combine, and it still wouldn't even come close to how much publicity, how much people were talking about it over this last year or last 8 months. So brilliant move by AD Danny White.
Yeah, despite what some people are thinking, the credibility is there. It is now a big program. Before, UCF was considered just a little guy. They weren't this, powerhouse. But now they're giving themselves credibility. And one of the reasons why is they're winning games. Going 13-0, that's going to do it. The other thing is they're out there putting themselves out there. Hey, we are national champions. Hey, we deserve this. Hey, national spotlight, Power 5, the exclusivity of that little that club that you guys are in. Guess what? We're knocking on that door. We're going to knock it down. We're going to show you that we are out here to play, and you're going to accept it whether you like it or not. And all the talking heads like the Paul Feinbaums that are going to get on the airwaves and just talk smack about how they think this is a cute story, but they're not real national champions. Guess what? Get over yourself. Let this team have its time in the spotlight. And you know what? I don't think this spotlight's going away. I think this is going to be a continuous thing. I think this was just a spark plug to what is to come, and I'm loving every second of it, Chris America. I love where we're going.
Yeah, it's funny, too, because every time I saw somebody outside of the Orlando area, outside of the purview of UCF, talk about UCF and say, oh, this is a flash in the pan, you guys get one season and you think you're all that and blah, 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 blah. I can tell when I hear somebody say that, you have absolutely no information about UCF other than what you saw this year. I've lived here in Orlando my entire life outside of my time in the military, and I watched it go from a small, I think they were Division III in the 80s. I can't say, but it was basically a high school team here in Orlando. That's why I grew up as a Gator fan, because UCF wasn't even a blip on the radar when I was growing up as a kid. The next biggest school was the University of Florida. They're 2 hours away in Gainesville. My whole family were Gator fans, so that's why I'm a Gator fan and not a UCF fan growing up. I can't abandon my first love, but I do root for UCF. I do love UCF because I am an Orlando native. And seeing this program grow from Dante Culpepper to what he did to put UCF on the national spotlight, I think he was a Heisman finalist. If not, he was in the Heisman conversation. Watch them move into FBS. Watch them move into Conference USA. Just dominated Conference USA once they got that thing rolling. They beat SEC team after SEC team, Alabama, Georgia. Just now they beat Auburn. They've won Bowls 6 games. Over the last 10 years, since 2007, they've had, I think, 5, either 9-win seasons or 10-win seasons. But it's more than what most FBS teams have done. So to say that this is new, no. This has been an ongoing process. And like I said earlier, this is only a 50-year school. I think 1968 was when UCF got formed. It's a roundabouts there. I know my aunt was the first graduating class sometime in the early 70s. So to see what UCF has done in 50 years, it's by far better than what most schools have done in 110 years.
Yeah, again, this is just the beginning. This is where they're
It
going.
really
this
is.
has been
People
an evolution.
People who think UCF is going to go away, it's not. Get ready. This is a school that, like I said, it's the second largest school in the campus. There's a lot of alumni money being poured into it. Even though we don't get the media money that the SEC and the Big Ten gets, they still get a lot of alumni money. It's a giant campus. It's a beautiful, brand new campus. They're adding to the athletic facilities. They built a stadium 10 years ago. They've just been adding to it. You're in the heart of the best recruiting state in the entire nation. So even if we don't get, the 5-star recruits and the 4-star recruits, I'll still take a 2- and 3-star athlete like Shaquem Griffin, like Mackenzie Milton, although I don't know if he was a 4-star, but he was from Hawaii. But I'll take the Griffins. I'll take all of the other athletes that we've had over the years. Kevin Smith, several years ago, 3-star athlete. Teams wanted him as a safety up in the Power 5, and George O'Leary said, no, you're going to be a running back, rushes for over 2,000 yards. I'll take those athletes over a 5-star athlete out of Minnesota or South Dakota or Wyoming or Nebraska. I'm sorry, man, we just make them different.
You forgot a very important name, Chris America. Bortles. That's right.
Oh,
Blake
yeah,
Bortles.
Blake Bortles.
You can't forget the man.
Listen, another recruit straight out of Oviedo, which is here in Orlando, and teams wanted him to play as a tight end. George O'Leary said, no, come play quarterback for me, and then he was the 3rd overall pick.
I'm telling you, there's talent everywhere. They're developing talent, and I just love it. So I'm beside myself because it is college football season, and it is finally here. Football season is here. Pro football will be starting a week later, but right now I'm just going to enjoy and embrace the season as it's coming because we've been waiting a very long time for this. We've been waiting for this opportunity, Chris America. We've been waiting to be able to say we're going to watch football. And tonight we're going to do a pregame. We've been all over the airwaves. We are the Scout Team. We're on Monday through Friday at 6 a.m. We replay at 11 a.m. We're on Wednesday nights, and we're doing a Thursday night show. We are everywhere, and we're going to be out doing a pregame with the fans, like you had mentioned at the onset. This is going to be a great year because we are doing it right, sir.
We are the Ryan Seacrests of 12-Ounce Sports Radio. You need us to host a pregame show, we got you. You need us to host a fighting show, we got you. We're everywhere. We're live. We're large and in charge. Well, we're not in charge. That's still the Hefe. Don't want to take his spotlight, but
yeah,
we're
the
doing
Hefe's
lots
still
of
the
work.
man.
We're trying to build up 12-Ounce Sports Radio. We're trying to build up the Scout Team brand. We're trying to build up all the other shows on 12-Ounce Sports. So we're excited about the future and the goals that we want to achieve, man. I'm pumped. But, yeah, man, Labor Day weekend is here. It means I'm like 5 to 6 weeks away from cooler weather. I'm excited. I'm pumped, man. I'm ready. College football, like you said, NFL football coming up in a week or so. I'm ready, man.
Yeah, no, I'm stoked. It's really starting to become college football and pro football season because you're seeing all these articles and all these news stories about athletes and coaches getting in trouble, doing stupid things, and it's everywhere. Now, last night on our After Dark show, Wednesday night, 7:30 to 9 o'clock on 12 on Sports Radio, we talked quite a bit in depth about Zach Smith going on this Twitter tirade, and this is just, again, another sign that the football season is here. You've got coaches getting fired. You've got investigations going on. You have hearsay. You've got rumors. You've got text messages being dumped on phones and phones being wiped, and you've got all of this stuff going on, and that just tells you it is football season. And Zach Smith last night and all day yesterday basically was the entertainment of the day. He was out there. He was calling everybody in the media clowns. He's saying, "Don't at me." He's throwing his kids out there like, "Hey, you're hurting the kids by talking about me so much. Hey, you don't know all the facts. It's all about the children. Hey, look at these faces. These kids. Look at my children. How dare you?" Come on, Zach Smith. What are you doing, man? What are you doing?
Being a clown, man. That's what clowns do. Clowns are always going to clown. You can take the clown, out of the game, but you can't take the game out of the clown. I don't know where I was going with that. It's still 6 o'clock, but yeah.
Quote it, hashtag.
Quote it,
you
hashtag.
can take the clown out of the clown, but you can't take the clown out of the clown.
I think I said the clown out of the game.
I don't know what you said, but it was funny. It was good. Great. We're going to put that on our replay.
Replay, yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be our highlight. The guys over at Rehab Sports Guys, they usually do little video clips and then do sound clips and throw it out on Twitter and some of the social media avenues, and I think that's going to be our clip of the day where we can highlight the show, because that quote, that has got me ready for the day right there about clowning and games. I don't even know what it was, but it was great, sir.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that that it's football season because of scandals and everything. I think this is now just the college way, because before basketball season last year, we had the FBI come out, and I think it's just what it's going to be for college basketball and college football. Is the season's about to happen when something big and scandalous happens.
Oh, big time. And it's not just college sports. We're talking pro sports also, because, when there is a story about a NFL player with insider trading, that's when things are starting to get really heated up. We're going Martha Stewart style here. We don't mess around with these petty crimes. These guys, they don't run into Publix and steal crab legs anymore. We're talking the real deal crime. We're talking going out and getting some insider information, getting some major investments out there, and then profiting over $1 million. And that's what linebacker for the Cleveland Browns, Mikael Kendricks, is doing. This guy, he knows how to make money. Now, this was from 4 years ago, so he's probably spent all that money. But you know how investigations go. We can't have a quick investigation. We have to have like a 4-year investigation before somebody finally squeals or somebody finds out. But, the Browns did the right thing. They hear this story. They find out what's going on. They know that he's being prosecuted for this crime. They immediately cut him. They said, we don't want anything to do with it. You think that was the right move by the Browns, or you think they should have maybe given him a second chance, or do you think it was just, let's be done with this guy?
Was it basically made by how good he was? Because this seems to be what the football does, and this is going to come back to bite the NFL in the ass that they cut him, because sooner or later there's going to be a Browns player that's really, really good who is charged with domestic violence or charged with drugs or charged with DUI, and they're going to keep him. And then people are going to say, oh, wait, you can cut the guy who basically did some insider trading, but you can't cut the guy who beat his wife?
That's a good example, and as soon as you said that, I thought immediately of Josh Gordon. Josh Gordon is on the Browns right now. He's been given 100 chances, but he has been such a talented wide receiver, and his has been an alcohol problem, a drug problem. He's gone to rehab. He's going through some changes to try to improve his life, so they're giving him that chance. But when you say that, you're right. This is a white-collar crime that doesn't inherently have that same victim mentality like you would have with a domestic violence or, let's say, DUI. We say, okay, it's a DUI, a lot of the players get it, but, DUIs are extremely dangerous because that's where a lot of fatalities on the road happen, is when somebody is intoxicated in their driving. So a DUI that's like having a weapon. Like, you're driving a huge weapon and you have no idea, you're out of your mind. So these are dangerous acts that maybe we sweep under the rug, whereas insider trading, now this guy's got to go. So I agree. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, and that's why you have a 12-ounce sports radio star DD around, for when you decide to go out and have a few drinks. You don't go out and drive. You get DD to come and pick you up, tell you some dad jokes along the way. Everybody's laughing. Everybody's having a good time. Nobody dies, nobody crashes, and nobody goes to jail. But yeah, I mean, let's just face it. We see it with Urban Meyer. We see it with this guy getting cut and Josh Gordon, and look at Pac-Man Jones is back on our roster. You see it all over the place. Punishments really come down to how good are you at what you do. If you're a 6-6 coach, guess what? Your ass gets fired. If you're a 73-8 coach over the last 6 years, and you beat your rival 6 years in a row, you get to keep your job. So, like I said, this is going to come back and bite them. This decision, they're not going to care when it does, because we see the Dallas Cowboys do this all the time. We've seen other teams in the NFL do this all the time, where they cut the really bad player, but they keep the really good player. It's just how it is in football, man, or just in sports in general.
Yeah, no, I think this is a problem. I think there needs to be a little bit more of an equity balance when these punishments come out. So I absolutely agree with where you're going with this. And it reminds me of a couple other players out there, like Greg Hardy. You mentioned the Cowboys. Greg Hardy, he comes from your Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, we cut him.
Yeah, which was smart.
Yeah.
But he gets another chance.
He does.
And his was domestic violence. It was bad.
He finds himself at second chance Dallas Cowboys.
That's really what they are.
Now, I have a proposal, though, to fix this problem. What we need to do is have a panel of people that are maybe like Cheyenne, where all she cares about are the Logan Pauls of the world. Maybe a group of video game nerds and movie comic book nerds that don't care at all about football. They're like, football is so lame. Why do you want to watch guys in tights run around? That's basically the first question I'm going to do when I'm putting together this panel is describe football to me. And if they say it's just a bunch of guys grabbing each other in tights, then I'm like, you're on the panel. Because they don't care about your record or how good you are. They're going to be like, who's Urban Meyer? I've never even heard of him. Does he even have 5 million YouTube views? If he doesn't, I don't want anything to do with him. That's the kind of people we need handing out discipline in football.
Yeah, when they talk about these unbiased investigations and it's people from the university or people from the organization, I'm sorry, you're biased if you are being employed or if you're involved or if you've graduated from. You are biased. You need to find a true unbiased group. Now, does that mean we live here in Central Florida? We have MegaCon that happens every year. Does that mean we go to MegaCon and set up a table and look for all of the comic book nerdy types that don't know anything about football and say, you would be perfect?
Yeah,
and then bring them in and make sure that they dress up in their straight cosplay. We need a Harry Potter.
Yes.
We need a Wolverine. We need a Joker. What else? What other cosplay nerdy comic book guys do we need to come in to be on this panel? Who else? Wonder Woman.
I want to see a chick in a Sailor Moon costume.
Yes.
Tell Greg Hardy, sorry, you can't play football anymore.
Yes, that would be perfect. That's exactly what we need. Maybe a Harley Quinn, a Sailor Moon, maybe some.
Maybe we can have Anthony
Pokemon.
Maybe we can have Anthony Mack come out in his brony costume.
Yes. Oh man, that time he wore that, we didn't even ask him to. He just showed up wearing.
We would just tell him there's a brony convention, and then he just sees Urban Meyer sitting there, and he's got to make a decision. But yeah, if you can name every single person that's appeared in an X-Men comic but don't know what a first down is, you're on the panel.
Yes, you're hired. You're in.
You're in
We
like
love it.
Flynn. All right, let's do enough controversy talk. Like you said, it's football time and it's Labor Day weekend, and we got the slate. We've talked ad nauseum about UCF kicking off. Again, you can join us at Red Eye Sports Tavern tonight from 6 to 7, or from 6 till the end of the game. We're going to do a watch party, and if you're not in the Orlando area, make sure you tune into 12 Ounce Sports at 6 o'clock. We'll be do a live pregame show from 6 to 7. But we got other shows or other games on the slate. We got the Florida Atlantic fighting Lane Kiffins taking on Oklahoma. That's at
This is
noon
a
on
great
Saturday.
game,
That
man.
kicks off Saturday's slate. So you watch a little college game day. You watch Kirk Herbstreit give his million excuses for Ohio State, and then you can watch Oklahoma play FAU.
I would like to watch Oklahoma play FAU. The other stuff that you mentioned about the sports turd and their whatever they do, I don't care for that, and I don't really care to watch. But I do want to say that, man, FAU is going to come in with some thunder. This is the Lane train. He is bringing the heat. This is a talented squad, 10-win team from last year, and a lot of people aren't giving them any credit like what they deserve. And I know that they are playing UCF. I think it's either game 3 or game 4 of the season this year. And that game makes me nervous. That game makes me really nervous. And I think Oklahoma does not need to go into this game too confident, because if they come in too confident, thinking that they are going to just steamroll this FAU team, they are dead wrong. This is a talented team. It's well coached. I know Lane Kiffin is a crazy SOB, and a lot of people do not like him and do not like what he does. But this guy has got this team. They're pumping on all cylinders, and they are moving in the right direction. And I'm actually really excited to see what they can accomplish this year with this team that they have. And you know what? It's just another Florida team with all this hotbed of talent, like you had mentioned earlier with UCF. FAU's got the same situation. Yes, the top 5 stars typically go to Florida State and Florida, but there are a lot of 3 and 4 stars that end up in these other universities like UCF, like FAU, and you realize that, you know, there are good players out there that these teams have gotten, and they've got them together, and they're playing awesome. So I'm excited about this game. Who do you think's going to win, Chris America? What do you got going on this?
I see this playing out that it's a back and forth game. They trade a bunch of touchdowns throughout the game, but I do think in the end, the massive amounts of talent that Oklahoma has, the fact that it's in Oklahoma, in Norman, I think they pull away at the end, that there's maybe a pick 6 or a fumbled on the 20-yard line, and Oklahoma converts a few times, and it's a close, high-scoring game. When I say close, I mean like relatively close. It's not going to be like a 56-10. It's going to be more like a 49-37 type deal, you know, within, you know, a couple of possessions.
You know, that's no fun. I like where you're going with this, but that's not fun to me. You know what I like? I like the upset. I like the underdog coming in to Oklahoma and giving them a defeat week 1. That's
So
what I
wait,
want to see. So
is
I am
this
going FAU. This is one of my bold predictions of the week, my upset special, my iron lock, whatever the cheesy cliche sports radio talk guy would say. This is my thing right here.
Hey, I just came up with your thing. Instead of saying this is the major upset of the week or the upset special, this is the beardiest beardy upset of the week.
Yeah, beards up, beards down. We are going beardiest, beardied.
Loudiest
Upset loud
beard
of the week. Perfect.
I like it. Oklahoma has definitely been susceptible to an upset from a lower-tiered school. They lost to BYU with Sam Bradford 9 or 10 years ago. I remember that game like it was yesterday. It didn't help Oklahoma's cause that Sam Bradford went out for the season during that game, but BYU, even when he was in the game, was just taking it to him. They had a hard time moving the football. I don't know enough about FAU's defense to know if they can slow down this high-powered offense that Oklahoma has. So if they're going to win, it's going to be a high-powered, high-offense, high-octane shootout, and maybe Oklahoma is the team that makes the mistake at the end, throws the interception or fumbles the ball at the 20-yard line, and FAU converts with the clock running out.
Let's do it. That's what's going to happen. I don't care if it's a 1-point victory. I just want to see FAU victorious at the end. I don't know why. I just have a gut feeling that they have something special planned for this. They've been planning all year. You know, when you have a big marquee matchup week 1 and you are kind of that little school, that underdog, everybody shows up for those types of games. Everybody on your team. And on the other side, the Oklahoma players, you know, they could be underestimating this team, and they might not show up for this big game. So I just think that this has upset written all over it. It is very beardy to me.
Beardiest beard. Well, the other noon games on Saturday are basically the tale of scandal and hardship and just overall bad news over the summer. We have Maryland playing Texas and Ohio State playing Oregon State. Those are the other two noon games. The Big Ten, I don't know, what do you want to call them?
I don't know. What do you want to call them? So
the Big
let's
Ten
go.
Scandalous.
Okay, the scandalous.
I don't know. I got nothing, man. It's still 6:25, man. But Texas plays Maryland. Oregon State plays Ohio State. I see Texas blowing out Maryland, and I don't think Oregon State, with or without Urban Meyer, can beat Ohio State.
Oh yeah, big time. I agree with you 100%. Maryland, especially with everything that happened and all of their controversy, I don't see them getting up for this game. They've been a disappointment year after year. They always have a very highly touted recruiting class each and every year, and when they come in, they have high expectations and they always disappoint. Texas, they seem like they might be moving in the right direction. They've had their ups and downs over the past few years, and I think Texas is just going to steamroll, like you had mentioned. So definitely there, Texas with the W. And then, yeah, Oregon State. Ohio State's a great team. That's not everything going on isn't going to change the fact that they have just an abundance of talent, and they are a championship pedigree style of college football team. Oregon State's just not going to be able to hold a torch to them. So those two games, to me, no-brainers. Got to go with the two favorites on those.
Yeah, and I'm just going to bring up the 3:30 slate games. We got West Virginia at Tennessee and Washington at Auburn. It's not at Auburn. It's in Atlanta, but it might as well be in Auburn. I see West Virginia beating. I see the Fighting Greers. The last time Will Grier played Tennessee, it was one of the most beautiful plays in Florida history. It was like 4th and 16. I was down on my luck. I was doing that, you sit on your couch with that slouch of depression that you just lost, and he throws a dart over the first down line. Guy picks up 3 blocks and takes it into the house for a touchdown. Gators win. I see Will Grier not needing the dramatic fashions this time. West Virginia wins by double digits. Washington-Auburn, if this game wasn't in Atlanta, I'd say it would be a fight, but Washington has to travel all the way across the country. I've always had this theory that teams in the NFL and teams in college do not play as well when they have to go coast to coast, so I see Auburn winning.
Yeah, Auburn still has a great team. They're a top 10 team. I'm with you. The West Coast travel is always a deterrent. Same thing, what you're mentioning with Will Grier, West Virginia. Will Grier's a great talent. He's going to be in that Heisman conversation. He's going to bring West Virginia up to be a great team this year. And I'm hearing stories that some people are saying West Virginia is overrated because maybe they are too centric around Will Grier. If anything happens to him, they're obviously going to be done. But
yeah, that happened to him
as long
year.
as he's that's true. He had that bad finger injury, right? That grotesque finger break. So, as long as Will Grier shows up like the Will Grier we know he can be, this is all West Virginia.
Yep. Now I got my group of 5 game of the week. I think I'm going to try and come up with this segment as I saw this game. Group of 5 doesn't get enough love. There's a lot of great group of 5 teams out there not named UCF. And 2 great teams of the group of 5 is Boise State at Troy. This is going to be a great matchup. Troy was the defending Sun Belt champions. I know people don't like to talk good about Sun Belt. The Hog Show Live was ragging on Troy and how Arkansas would have won the Sun Belt last year. And I'm like, Troy beat LSU at LSU. You guys would have an interesting game against them. Boise State should be the favorite. They're ranked number 22, but they got to travel not coast to coast, but pretty much coast to coast. They got to go from Idaho to Alabama. They got to play in that humidity that we have down here in the South. I'm giving my Chris American upset. Troy, I think, beats Boise State.
Yeah, Troy's got it in their blood to be able to get this upset. A lot of people forget that last year Troy beat LSU, and that was still a good LSU team, and everybody was giving LSU crap because they lost to Troy, but really they should have been given Troy credit for being a good team, and they still aren't. So, yeah, there's upset written all over that one. So, yeah, that is definitely a upset special. And then Chris America, you know, I was talking about Auburn winning, and you were saying about the West Coast coming across. You know, Washington is they've got a really good team. To me, this is more of a coin flip. I said Auburn, but I got to go coin flip with this one. It's going to be a fun game to watch. I think it's a very evenly matched game. I can't pick. I'm going to go on the fence on this one.
Okay, if it was a neutral site game like in Dallas, then I would say yeah, like totally. But that to me, that's what sets the edge over it. I'm not saying Washington will definitely lose. I'm not saying Auburn will definitely win. But for if I'm going to give a pick, I'm going to say Auburn just because of that travel. But like you said, this is a very talented team. Washington is ranked higher, but that doesn't mean anything because it's preseason polls. But we're coming up on the break, Kyle. I think tomorrow we'll cover the great rest of the matchups for this weekend. We don't want to blow our load on today's show. We still got tomorrow's show to do. So we'll talk about Michigan, Notre Dame. We'll talk about Miami, LSU, Louisville, Alabama here in Orlando. Big weekend here in Orlando for sports. And then, of course, Virginia Tech versus Florida Secondary University. But on the other side of the break, buddy, get the DeLorean ready. Make sure the engine is warm because it is Time Travel Thursday.
Woo!
When I'm working hard, I build up a thirst for sports. That's when I grab a cold 12-ounce sports radio. "12-ounce sports radio. Quench your sports thirst."
Oh, guess who it is? Did you know the station had a janitor? Oh, yeah, the Jefe, otherwise known as Beck. And it's Beck's Work Week in Review live on 12-ounce sports radio every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Catch interviews, special guests, and the recap of the week's news and headlines and box scores and results. It's Beck's Work Week in Review live on 12-ounce sports radio.
Scout Team listeners and friends of the show, I've got something special for you. It looks like 12-ounce sports radio has done it again. We have partnered with Rally House. You just go to the website 12ozsportsradio.com. Click on the banner on the right side of the page, and it will take you directly to Rally House. Rally House has some of the... All right, listeners, we are back. Do you own a small business? Oh, fixed it. Are you looking for solutions to all of your communications problems and challenges that you have? Check out Ring Central. Give them a call. They have partnered with 12ouncesportsradio.com to give you the best rates on all of your business and office solutions for communication. Give them a call today. We have a dedicated line for all of the 12-ounce sports radio listeners. It is 1-877-779-3860. You will get a representative on the phone who will help you with all of your small business communications needs. Once again, give them a call today, 1-877-779-3860.
Did you know 40 points on your credit score could cost you $40,000 on a mortgage? Thankfully, Lexington Law is here to help. Since 1991, Lexington Law has helped over 500,000 customers take action on their credit reports. Call 877-910-7472 to talk to a repair specialist now. Personalized credit consultation is free. Getting access to your report is free. Plus free score evaluation with a recommended solution. Call now and get on the path to recovery. Call Lexington Law at 877-910-7472. That's 877-910-7472.
Yeah, the scout team is coming back at you right now, and it is exciting because it is Time Travel Thursday. But before we travel back in time, I just want to give a little shout out to some of the shows coming up today on 12OunceSportsRadio.com. That is right. You are listening to us today on the scout team. We go live at 6 a.m. and our replay is every day at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you check us out whenever you get the chance. Clutch Talk Sports is on again today at 8 a.m. That's a great show from our affiliate over at Sports Radio America. A little bit later in the day, you've got What's Up Sports with our good friend Jimmy Young. This guy puts on a fantastic show. You can catch it at noon on the station. Rehab Sports Guys go live at 2 o'clock. The Kentucky Sports Guys are later this afternoon at 4. All Sports Best is on later this afternoon. And the best news of them all is tonight at 6 p.m. You are going to get the scout team coming at you with the pregame, coming live, getting ready for that first big college football game. So great stuff going on here on the station. And also, again, interact with us on social media. We love this, Chris America. Where can they find us on social media?
You can find us on Twitter at Scout Team Radio, at Scout Team Radio. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook. Same thing, same deal there. Scout Team Radio. Scout Team is 2 words. In case you're wondering, it's one whole word on Twitter. There's no spaces there, but on Facebook and everything, it's at Scout Team Radio. Find us there, man. Interact with us, tweet at us, give us show topics, complain about our picks. Say, Chris, you don't know what you're talking about. Say, Loudbeard, what are you doing picking FAU? You know, you could say, hey guys, stop picking on Urban Meyer. He's an innocent saint. You can do whatever you want, man. Just tweet at us. We love it. We love the fans. This isn't our show. This is all of our show, man. This is your show. We want to have you to have ownership in the show as well. We want to interact with you. We love our fans. No matter what your opinions are, we want to hear them. We want to talk about them. We love it, man. We love reaching out to America. We love America. God bless America.
God bless America. Yeah, that's right. We love America, but we also love this brand new segment. Chris America, you're going to lead us through this amazing journey.
Wait a minute, Doc. Are you telling me that you built a time machine out of a DeLorean?
Yes, we are about to hit the 88 miles per hour mark, hit the DeLorean, and go back to the future, back to 1990. A great year in sports and a fantastic year in movies. Kyle, when you hear about all the movies that came out, I'm going to take you back to little old 8-year-old Loudbeard and 7-year-old Chris America, and there were some classics that came out. We'll start with the Super Bowl. When I was a little kid, my favorite wide receiver was Jerry Rice. When I was a little kid, believe it or not, this little guy that maxed out at 5'8" thought he was going to be a wide receiver in the NFL. I loved playing football at school. I loved playing football at home. We played kill the man with the ball. Any chance I got to play football, I was there doing it. And my dream was to grow up and be a wide receiver, and I mirrored my game off of Jerry Rice, his hard work, his route running, and everything else. Jerry Rice put on a show in the Super Bowl on January 28th. Yes, there were Super Bowls played in January, not February. January 28th, 1990, the San Francisco 49ers utterly destroyed the Denver Broncos, 55-10. You want to talk about a time where somebody should be lucky that there isn't Twitter and social media and everything? It would be John Elway. Number 1 overall pick in 1983, and just could not win the Super Bowl, could not get his team over the hump. gets utterly embarrassed. Could you imagine what John Elway would have faced in social media, Kyle or Loudbeard, if he put out a 55-10 showing as the number 1 overall pick?
Oh, you know what? He would have got just bamboozled. He would have been just destroyed on social media. Twitter would have had his nuts in a sack. He'd been cut off.
Yep, and that was the last year, or the last Super Bowl Joe Montana would win. He was the third player in league history to win both the Super Bowl MVP and the AP Most Valuable Player award during the same season. Bart Starr and Terry Bradshaw are the other names to say that. There was no doubt during that time he was the Tom Brady of that era. Everybody said he was the GOAT, and for the longest time people said he was the GOAT. Now it's the arguments between Joe Montana and Tom Brady. Joe Montana, Tom Brady. I know you got some of those Packer fans and some of those Brady haters that want to include Aaron Rodgers into that mix, but let's win at least 3 Super Bowls before you want to talk about how you're the GOAT with guys like Joe Montana and Tom Brady. But let's get out of the Super Bowl. Let's go to the 1990 NBA Finals. That was the Bad Boys of Detroit. The Detroit Pistons utterly embarrassed the Portland Trailblazers. Yes, there was a time and day, children, when the Portland Trailblazers were good enough to win the West and play in the NBA Finals. And this was the first year since 1979 that the NBA Finals did not involve a team called the LA Lakers or a team called the Boston Celtics. People think that the NBA, it's new. What is the NBA going to do with these players making the league bad? It's a one-sided league. There's only 2 teams in the league. This is not new, guys. This has been around with the NBA. It's just, for whatever reason, basketball has just a run of teams where only 2 teams are good and nobody else is. For 11 years, Kyle, we had one or the other team in the finals. We're at 4 years with the Golden State Warriors, and we're already tired of it.
Yeah, no, I agree. The thing that brings, I guess, a little bit of nostalgia back to me is, at this point, this is when Michael Jordan was in the Eastern Conference Finals and could not get past those Detroit Piston bad boys, and everybody was criticizing Michael Jordan, saying he can't win a championship, he can't bring his team past these other elite teams, and he fell short year after year after year. And it's because of teams like this Detroit Pistons. These guys were the bad boys because of those Boston Celtic teams. This was pre-Michael Jordan right here. This was before he became the GOAT. So we talked about Joe Montana. Joe Montana was the GOAT then, and right now this was before Michael Jordan was the GOAT. We're going back in time, and this is like an unbelievable era. This was before the Buffalo Bills lost 4 Super Bowls in a row. This is just, when you take your mind back to this time, it's crazy to hear these things. This is when Larry Bird and Magic Johnson were kings. Then this was the Isaiah Thomas Pistons that were the bad boys for life. So this is a great time to be a fan. I'm glad we went back to 1990, Chris America.
Me too, man. And a lot of people will say that without the Detroit Pistons beating up Michael Jordan, that Michael Jordan might not ever become great. You know, sometimes it takes an arch nemesis to push you over the limit, to push you above, to make you better. You know, they say that you got to put the sword to the grindstone to sharpen it. And the Detroit Pistons, I think, was the grindstone for Michael Jordan to sharpen his skills, sharpen his game. And I think that's definitely why he became the 6-0 champ we later knew him as. But we talked about the greatest basketball player of all time. We talked about the greatest football player of all time. Who was the greatest hockey player of all time during that time?
Wayne Gretzky.
Wayne Gretzky is correct, and Wayne Gretzky wasn't involved in the 1990 Stanley Cup other than just by his old team winning it. We talked about the 49ers being the New England Patriots of that era and Joe Montana being the Tom Brady. The Edmonton Oilers were the team. They won the Stanley Cup Finals in 1990. It was their first Stanley Cup Finals since they traded Wayne Gretzky to Los Angeles in 1988. But this was their, I think it was their fifth. This was their fifth win, or their fifth title in 7 years. That's quite the dominance by one team in hockey, man. You don't see that in hockey anymore, but to have a team win 5 in 7 years, it's just amazing.
I'd say that's impressive, and there has not been another Wayne Gretzky. There's no argument of who is the GOAT in hockey. Everybody knows Wayne Gretzky is the GOAT.
Yep, and then the 1990 World Series. I got nothing on this one, man. I don't remember. I did not watch baseball as a kid. I wish I did. I wish I played baseball because I'm left-handed. I could have at least gotten a minor league contract just being a left-handed pitcher, but it was the Cincinnati
Reds.
Sweeping the Oakland Athletics.
And, you know, I remember this series. The big story coming out of this time frame. Now, I don't know if it was exactly 1990, but I feel like it was. I'd have to do a little bit of extra research. But this was when Marge Schott was owning the Cincinnati Reds. And there was a lot of criticism for her racist comments. And there was just a lot of stuff swirling around that. But those Reds, that was a good Reds team. And, you know, I think Chris Sabo was on that team. And I guess I'm going back a little bit of ways and dating myself, but I remember that being a great series. I was a big Athletics fan at the time. They had the Bash Brothers in the mid to later 80s, and you know Ricky Henderson was on that Athletics team, and it was just an exciting World Series. But you know it was all overshadowed. The Reds have a lot of stigma around them because of that Marge Schott stuff. Now I think the Marge Schott information with her being racist and being the owner of the Reds came out a little bit later than 90, but that's what I remember from that era. That's what sticks out in my head.
Yeah, and it was interesting to see that the Oakland Athletics won 103 games that year. The Cincinnati Reds won 91, and they swept the team with the better record. That's why you can't always go by just regular season record in these series. But now I want to talk a little bit about music. And during 1990. It was the year of the power ballad, man. I'm looking at the top 10 billboards, and you got songs like Hold On It by Wilson Phillips. It Must Have Been Love by Roxette. You got, Another Day in Paradise by Phil Collins. You got Cradle of Love by Billy Idol. And, of course, The Blaze of Glory by John Bon Jovi. Just all power ballads make you feel emotional and sensitive.
Yeah!
It was the year.
Yeah,
I was never a power ballad fan.
No, you're mentioning these songs, and I'm kind of like playing them over in my head and just thinking, I could do without these.
Yeah, I mean, you had some upbeat songs. You had Poison by Bill DeVoe. They were the number 4 song. Oh, and I forgot another power ballad, Nothing Compares to You by Sinead O'Connor. That's another one that once you get it in your head, you're done. Like
all day. I'm going to have that one in my head all day.
Yeah. You had Opposites Attract by where did she go? By Paula Abdul. That was one of my favorite, most memorable music videos as a kid because it had the little cartoon, like what was it, a wolf or a dog or something? I
think it was a Bearcat.
Yeah, Bearcat from Cincinnati.
Sure. It's something.
So yeah, that was the year of the power ballad. Wasn't really our year in music as a 7 and 8 year old, but when it comes to movie and billboards. What do you think was the number 1 grossing all movie in the box office in 1980 or 1990?
Well, I don't know what the number 1 grossing was, but I did look this up and see what movies came out in 1990, and there is one movie that sticks out in my head as being one of the greatest movies. And
I'll tell you right now, I'll tell you right now without you even saying it, it's number 5.
Home Alone?
Oh no, that's number 1. I thought you were going to say Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
No, that's also a great movie, but. Okay, so you got a good point there. But Home Alone, we play it every year at Christmas time because we say it's a Christmas movie because his family goes on Christmas vacation and leaves him home alone. And I love this movie. Home Alone reminds me of my childhood because it was a kid's movie at that time when we were youngins. And Home Alone to me is still iconic when he puts the aftershave on and puts his hands on his face and screams. This was the highlight of Macaulay Culkin's career. This was one of the greatest movies, and I think that was the highest grossing. Now, you bring up another great movie, Ninja Turtles. Now, because I was a huge Ninja Turtles fan as a kid, this was, yes, my favorite movie at that time. You know what? This is a great year for movies. I can't even... Home Alone, Ninja Turtles. Another one that I really loved that I watched it back recently, and it's really terrible movie, but it was Dick Tracy. That was a good movie, man.
So when you were a kid, so I said this was a great movie or a great year to be a kid. This is when they actually put a lot of production and and story value into children's movies. Or maybe I'm just saying that because I was a kid and it just entertained me. But I still watch Home Alone now, and I'm thoroughly entertained. It's one of my top 2 or 3 Christmas movies of all time. But then you have Dick Tracy, you have Kindergarten Cop, great, hilarious Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. What else did you have? I mean, even though this wasn't really a kid's movie, it was still fun to watch as a kid. Days of Thunder came out that year. Another great kids movie was Misery. You know, kids love.
Yes. The ankle breaking scene in Misery still keeps me up at night. I still have nightmares about Kathy Bates in that scene. That was. Oh, I got chills just right now.
Yeah. I said that as a joke, but this was another horror movie that I absolutely loved as a kid. That was Gremlins 2, The New Batch. Seeing Gizmo dress up as Rambo was hilarious to me. Another great Christmas movie, man. It was the year of the Christmas movie, 1990s.
It was. And one movie I do want to mention that you did not have on your list there, or maybe you do and just haven't mentioned it yet, but Edward Scissorhands. I remember that one. There was a town over near where I lived near the Tampa Bay area that it was filmed at, and I remember driving by, and you could see the little like cookie cutter houses that were all different colors that were filmed in that movie. And I remember watching that, and it was just one of those movies that sticks out in my head. I can vividly remember good old Johnny Depp with the white makeup and the classic Burton style with the scissor hands, and it's a great movie, man. That was, past Beetlejuice. Burton's kind of like getting into all this dark and gothic, and this was a classic Burton movie, man. I love Scissorhands.
Yeah, and Tim Burton was probably influential to give us all of the Marilyn Mansons of the world and that kind of thing. Inspired that music later on in the world. One last movie I want to talk about. If you ain't got other movies to talk about, it's always stuck with me. I don't think it like made me scared of spiders, but it definitely didn't help my fear of spiders. And that was the movie Arachnophobia. Great horror film because it was. I always like horror movies that I can see happening to me in real life. If you bring out ghosts and ghouls and stuff like that, it doesn't affect me other than the scenes where they like jump out at you and they try to scare you that way. But movies that I can see happening to me in real life are the ones that really hit me close to home. And I can envision my house being just infested with spiders and me not knowing what to do about it.
Yeah, it's just realistic enough to be where you can think that, man, I could walk out into my garage or walk into my room and there's a nest of spiders hiding in the wall and it like bursts through the wall and attacks you. Yeah, that was also one of those movies that would keep you up at night. Yeah, that's all I got on my movie end. What else you got on your 1990 time travel expedition that we are on, sir?
I'm going to say one more, and I'm going to close out the window so I don't see any more movies. And we could talk about 1990 movies all day long. It's Goodfellas, probably one of the best mafia movies of all time. So
absolutely,
that's all I got, man. We got 2 more minutes left of the show.
Hey,
how
real
are we
quick,
gonna end this?
Hold on. You there's a couple things here that you really forgot about. One,
what?
The Game Boy was one of the most popular video games at that time. The Game Boy, 1990. This is what we play, is the Game Boy. The commercial with the life alert came out, and the old lady was on the ground and says,
"Oh yeah,
I've fallen and I can't get up." Came out in 1990. That saying is still a saying. The great iconic.
Funny, I used
go ahead.
the life alert. I used the life alert joke the other day on one of the old guys at my work.
It's still popular. Like, it's still applicable in terms, and that was 1990. Jim Henson, the great Jim Henson, passes away in 1990. That was sad. And the #1 TV show in 1990, The Place Where Everybody Knows Your Name, Cheers. So that's the great year, man. This was an absolute phenomenal year. It was a great year in sports and a great year in history.
Yeah. Man, you brought up some other great things. I think I missed over Game Boy because I never had one, and I hated that I never had one.
You got bad feelings.
Little childhood angst there about the Game Boy. I did eventually end up with the Game Gear, the Sega version of it.
Yep.
I had the Super Crash Test Dummies game. It was fun. I think that was the first Madden game I ever had was on Game Gear. So fun times, man. Well. Yeah,
we're going to wrap it up here. So I want to just do a quick Oprah Solid. I can't let this pass. The The Brewers' Christian Yelich last night hits for the cycle, 6 for 6 for the Brewers. They end up winning in extra innings against the Reds. And that guy, we don't normally do Oprah Solids on our morning show, but I just had to throw out a hashtag Oprah Solid because of this phenomenal feat. You do not see this very often. So congrats to the stud over in Milwaukee, Christian Yelich. And on that note, Chris America, why don't you lead us home?
Yeah, once again, please tune in tonight at 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. That's 3 o'clock. You'll still be at work in the West Coast. But please tune in, 12-Ounce Sports Radio. We're going to do our pregame show to the UCF watch party. Hopefully we'll have a bunch of fans out there if some of them are brave enough to get on the air. And again, if you're in the local area listening, make sure you come out so you can win those UCF home opener tickets. Until then, we'll see you at 6. Peace.
Peace.